Good morning, good morning, or good afternoon rather. Sorry about that. Good afternoon. How are we all doing? I'm so excited to see you all here. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome. I can see Marv, I can see Ibube, I can see Mr. Blessing, I can see Tovia, I can see okay, I'm just seeing an Oppo A16. So can you rename yourself? That would be great, right? You can rename yourself. I can see Upai AK, I can see Ogechi Okoye, I can see Tozvik, I can see Success Adams, I can see Ebony, I can see Maxwell. I'm more than happy to have you here. Welcome, welcome to this edition. This is actually the first edition of our webinar for gambling. It's not necessarily the first that we are having entirely, but welcome everybody. I'm actually really happy to have you here because this your presence here shows that you are intentional about making a positive change in your life, right? And being a change maker. Please, I'm just putting this out there. The moment you join in, you will be muted. Try not to unmute yourself, please. For us to maintain order and decorum, don't unmute yourself until you've been asked to unmute yourself. Yeah, so we're going to get right in. We started. Did we enjoy the music interlude upon coming in? Hope you enjoyed it, please. I was flexing my DJ muscles, and I really hope that you enjoyed it and you had a swell time settling in. We are keeping to time because we don't intend keeping anybody for long here, right? This session is going to span for a period of time, and trust me, it's going to be amazing. So, we're going to commit this into God's hand before we proceed. Can we just close our eyes even as we pray in Jesus' name? Father, we thank you for this moment. Thank you for this session. We thank you for you have prepared a lot for us, and we are set to receive from you. We've opened this meeting and webinar in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We ask that you have your way. We ask that anybody that comes here will leave transformed. Nobody will leave the same way they came. For in Jesus' beautiful name of prayer. Amen. Welcome everybody once again. So the theme of this webinar is what? Don't get caught in the trap, meaning there is a trap that is being laid down, right? I don't know how many of you have farming experience or agricultural experience. If you've been to the farm before, you have to be careful, especially when you're going through some really local farms, because some hunters might have set traps, or if you've seen movies, some hunters might have set some traps, right, for animals, not human beings. But unfortunately, if your leg gets caught in that trap, it hasn't happened to me before, right? But I've seen movies, and oh my god, it is always very, very painful. It's not an experience you want to have. So don't get caught in the trap. What is the trap? And that's what we're going to be talking about today: gambling and addictions. So over time, we've been to schools, and in course of visiting students, young people, we notice that a lot of people are being involved in gambling. Like they think it's just normal. If I ask you, you can put in the comment section what are types of gambling or bet houses that you know. There are a whole lot. You will hear a lot of names, right? And it was alarming. Like, what? A lot of people are in this space, but basically, what are we talking about? We just want you guys to understand that this thing is harmful, and we're going to be showing you how, right? And walking you through practical steps on how you can become a better person. And perhaps you've not even gotten involved in any of this, right? This is not just for people that are addicted or people that have issues. We are all change makers here. So your presence in this place, right, will just guarantee you give you the right information and knowledge you need to effect change in your community. What do I mean? So whatever knowledge you get from here, when you go back home or you go back to your friends and colleagues, you're able to assist people in need. You're able to talk to your friends. Somebody comes to you and say, "Oh, I'm struggling with this." Before you refer them to a professional, you're able to offer some sort of first aid therapy for them. Or you're able to guide your colleagues and say, "Oh, this is the reason why you shouldn't gamble. This is the reason why you shouldn't get involved in this, right? These are the dangers. These are what I learned." That is you being a change maker. Is that not beautiful? Okay, so welcome once again, right? Don't get caught in the trap, overcoming gamblings and addiction. And we have amazing guests that are here that are set to work to throw more light on this topic and provide you with the knowledge you need. See, one thing for sure. One thing I am very much convinced about is that you will not leave this place the same way you came. You're going to get a lot of things that will mark your life positively forever. So get your journals, get your Bible. I want you to be taking notes because a lot of things will be dropping and you don't want to miss out on them. This is free therapy. Okay, thank you for engaging this. And remember, if you've not shared out the link, please put it out and all. I'm going to be bringing our guest on board now. We're going to be having our first speaker now, right? Are you set? Do you have your journal and all your writing materials with you? Please, if you don't do well to get it, reach out for it. Remember, like I said earlier on, you are in for an unforgettable experience. You're in for a webinar, an event that will mark your life for good. You're in for a webinar, you're in for an event that would mark your life for good. So you don't want to miss out. I'm going to be reading the bio of our first speaker, and he's going to be talking about overcoming addictions, right? I'm going to be reading his bio. I want you to pay attention. And please, in the comment box, I want you to welcome him, celebrate him, because I mean, this is a free webinar. We're not paying him for this, but he decided to spare his time to be here. So let's honor him and let's celebrate him. Mr. Blessing Adeyanju is a psychologist and a licensed assistant behavior analyst with hands-on experience in applied behavior analysis ABA, particularly in supporting individuals with autism and other developmental needs. He has a strong clinical background from his work in the psychology department of Lagos State Teaching Hospital. Mr. Blessing also brings valuable insights from his previous role in the military counseling department, where he supported individuals facing addiction as well as behavioral and emotional challenges. His interest includes behavior modification, mental health awareness, and evidence based addiction intervention. So, you know that the person that we have here in the room is not a small person, is well loaded and the best fit to walk us through this session with a clapping ovation in the comment section, with a lot of lovely emojis and celebration emojis. I can't see any. If I don't see, I'm not going to welcome him on board, please. I can't see any. With a lot of celebration, welcome emojis. Can we celebrate and welcome our first speaker for today, who is going to be taking us on an amazing topic. He's going to be walking us through understanding and overcoming addictions. Welcome, Mr. Blessing. So I'm just going to, I think I've made you a co-host already. I'm going to just pin you so that,
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone.
welcome, sir.
I'm happy to be here. And I mean, and I'm really happy that I'm here to share experiences with us and walk us through this topic, talking about how we can understand addiction and overcome it. Yes, so we are going to make it real. We'll be discussing real things, what we can see in our environment, and so on. We're going to make it practical. I don't know if you can see my slide. Just you can drop in the
Yes,
comment.
yes, I can see.
Okay, great. So understanding and overcoming addictions. This is not the first time you'll be hearing of the word addictions, I'm sure, for many people. And for some people, I wouldn't be surprised if you're hearing addiction for the first time. So, and that's why we are all here. So it's either you want to know about addiction, or you know someone who is going through addiction, or you're going through addiction yourself and you are looking for a way out of it. So like Miss Emanuela said, it might not just be for you alone. Having understanding might help you support someone who needs it appropriately. So you might be given the appropriate support as a result of understanding what addiction truly is. So let's move straight. What is addiction? So it's going to be simple, and that's why I use the word simple definition. I don't want to use complex clinical terms because it's not so relevant right here. So what's relevant is you having understanding about addiction. So when your body or mind can't stop craving something, even when it hurts you or when it's hurting you, yes, we can just simply or literally say, oh, you're addicted to this thing, despite the fact that it's hurting you. We all can see the negative effect on you. Even you yourself, you can see how bad this thing is hurting you. Yet, you are still craving or you're still doing that thing. That is addiction. Despite the negative consequences, you still choose to follow through addiction. And so many people might be wondering or might be thinking, I mean, how will someone continue to do things despite the negative consequences, despite the fact that that thing hurts the person? So, and that's some of the questions I'll be answering today. And I mean, we will see why it is like that. So there are some things people could be addicted to: drugs, alcohol, pornography, gambling, social media, gaming. So I'll shed more light later. So the key message here is, it may start as fun, but it can take over your life. Any addictive thing may start as fun, but later, the thing is the one taking over your life. So let's just talk about the types of addiction, and so you know where I want to concentrate on. So when we talk of addiction, we have addictions that involve drugs and other substances, that is, including prescribed drugs. Some prescribed drugs can be addictive. Oh, the doctor prescribed these drugs for me, and yet you are addicted to that drug. And there are some other substances outside of the prescribed drugs that people use, and they're addicted to it. So don't forget, anytime I mention addicted to it or addiction, the word addiction, know that despite the negative consequences, the person is still doing it. So, and the other part is behavioral addiction. Behavioral addiction. But my concern right here is, I'll be facing the one on the left. So where you have prescribed drugs and other substances. So that's the kind of addiction I'm going to be facing right now. So alcohol, very common. People can get addicted to alcohol, cannabis, opioids, hallucinogen, inhalants, sedatives, tobaccos. This sounds so strange to some of us, but some people who are into it might be familiar with some of these names. And from this list, if you are not even familiar with anything, you are familiar with alcohol. But I mean, let's relate it to our setting now. So all those classification I gave, all those types I gave, hallucinogens, sedatives, oh, it looks quite strange, right? So let's look at what people really abuse in our locality, in Nigeria, in your neighborhood. I mean, if you walk down some streets, you will find 3 or more different joints where they abuse some substances. So cannabis, tramadol, so common, codeine. Yes. Do you know there was a time codeine was banned, and that was, I mean, it's still banned since about 2018. I mean, it was a medicine for cough, but it was being abused. So kush is a type of cannabis, ogogoro, so illicit gin. So people abuse it, and I mean, people are addicted to it. Tobacco, alcohol, like I mentioned, marijuana, inhalants, glue. Yes, those ones they inhale rather. Glue. I mean, your normal shoemaker gum, if you know that, they abuse it. People sniff it, they inhale it. So petrol, the one you use to start your generator, your gen. I mean, it's also a substance that gets addictive. People are addicted to it. It's been abused. Colorado, weed, paint thinner, laughing gas. I mean, just a time it's really trending. Even this laughing gas, this nitrous oxide, I mean, it is medically used, to be sincere, when maybe you want to do surgery and so on. So they could give laughing gas, but it has been abused. It is now what people use in party now. Anyways, when we talk about all of this substance, people use it just to have fun. Like I said, it starts with fun. They use it to feel all right. When they use it, they feel good. Most of these substances make them feel good. The euphoric feeling okay, feeling calm, feeling, the common name, the common word they use is feeling high. I want to feel high. It seems you are no more in this world. I mean, that is how they feel. They use it to feel good. They rely on substances to feel good. There are so many other substances that are being used. These are just some. And there are some other names they call some of these things also listed here. So it has multiple names depending on the location, depending on the environment. Even lizard dung, people abuse it and they get addicted to it. Your sock away, people inhale it and it makes them feel good. Yeah, so we are going to look why people are doing all of these things. So some people, it sounds irritating. Why would someone sniff gum? Why will someone inhale petrol? Why will someone inhale the smell from a waste tank? Why? So let's just write on. So let's look at the prevalence of psychoactive substances in Nigeria between the age of 15 to 64. Like I said, what's very common, even if you've not heard of those substances before, what is common is alcohol. So it is the highest that is being used in Nigeria between these ages 15 to 64. Other drugs too are being abused. We have cannabis being abused, opioids too, which are usually used for pain relief, tobacco. We have cocaine and so on that are being abused in Nigeria, or other stimulants that are abused in Nigeria. So, but alcohol is very common. Even if you've not heard anyone abuse any substance before, you must have heard of alcohol. You must have seen a man who will fall into the gutter today because of drinking alcohol, and tomorrow is back to the same joint where he fell, where he was embarrassed. He's back to that same joint. So, but let's quickly look at how does addiction start. Peer pressure. Peer pressure. So everyone doing it, everyone is doing it. Yes, it's a way people start doing or using substances that get them addictive, that get them addicted to it. Because everyone is doing it, they don't want to stand out, they don't want to stand alone. I mean, I know of an individual who after secondary school, I mean, the last day of secondary school was when he started taking alcohol. He started with alcohol. And they were celebrating that, oh, we're done with our WAEC and so on. And he used it. I called him and I was like, oh boy, why did you take this? I mean, you're not used to it. I mean, you haven't taken it in your life and so on. Oh, he said everyone was taking it. And besides, this is just the first time, and it's just because we're celebrating the last day in school. I mean, let me just enjoy today, and after today, that's all. So peer pressure was what led him, because everyone is doing it. Most of the guys are doing it. Most of your friends are doing it. Stress or depression too. As a result of stress, some people use substances hoping that they forget about their stress, or it relieves them of their stress. So they use substances, or when some people are depressed, they feel, oh, taking substances will make them forget what they are going through. You must have heard this thing. So some people who are Yorubas, you must have heard people say afikpa thinking. Afikpa ironure. Yes, we use that one to wipe off our thoughts, our thinking, what's making us sad. Another is curiosity or experimenting. That's how it starts too. They were curious. No one is born an addict. Curiosity also makes them start doing it. Escape from reality. Some people just want to escape from what they are going through. So, and taking substances is what is the best way they feel to escape from reality. Lack of guidance or supervision. Now, finally, you need to know that addiction affects your brain. So this is one important place you need to pay attention to, not just your behavior. So when you say why do they keep on doing this? Why do they, after all the embarrassments, after all the negative consequences, after all the physical and mental consequences, why do they keep on going back to this? This is one important question because it affects the individual brain. So let's look at it. The brain has a role to play. So don't forget, I said people take it to feel good, right? When you take alcohol or other substances, you feel good. It makes them feel good. And the brain registered that feeling. The brain registered that feeling that, wow, this looks good. They feel high. So it's that substance has gone to stimulate a part of your brain. We call it the mesolimbic dopamine system. The substance use goes here to stimulate it. And there are two parts. The VTA, you can see it on my slide, the brain. So the VTA, it stimulates it and it's connected to the nucleus accumbens. And it moves straight down into where we call the prefrontal cortex. Now, once this is being stimulated, this is called the reward center, the pleasure center of the brain. So you begin to have pleasure each time you use it. You begin to enjoy yourself. It reinforces you. So such that the brain wants more, your body wants more. You begin to crave it so as to have the same feeling you had earlier. Because you crave it, you go take it again. When you take it again, that part is being stimulated again. You feel good. And that region also works with motivation, the place that motivates you. It plays a critical role in addiction too. And it affects your reasoning. That prefrontal cortex is a part that affects your reasoning too. It's a place where you reason. That's why you see some people using substances and their sense of reasoning and judgment is affected. So they are all linked together. So the brain has a role to play in addiction. So when they keep on going back to it, it is because they want to get the same feeling they get. But in the process, the brain is being affected. So, and there is what we call the dopamine. It is a neurotransmitter, just like a chemical released for pleasure. So each time you go for it, that chemical is released. Each time an individual goes for it, that chemical is released for pleasure. So, and before you know, a new pattern is being formed entirely. So stages of addiction, in line with what I've said, the experimentation stage is what I talked about. You just want to experiment. Oh, I mean, what is this? It feels good with your blood pressure. Oh, they're having party. Let's go there. I mean, let's feel good together. For some emotional reasons, like depression too. I mean, that's the experimentation stage we've talked about. So we now have the next stage, which is the regular use. The regular use. So that regular use simply means you're taking it frequently, and you now have pattern. You've created pattern. Okay, school party or every Friday, let's go use this thing. So the next is risky use. It's now noticeable that there is a problem here. So you keep on going to use it despite the problem, despite the fact that you're having problem in school with academics, your performance and relationship, and every other thing, having parent issues with your parents. Then the next stage is dependence. You totally get dependent on it. There's what we call tolerance. In this stage of dependence, there's what we call tolerance. Now your body now gets used to that substance, or the individual body gets used to that substance, whereby they need more to have the same effect. If they are taking one bottle, they need an extra bottle now to have that same feeling. When they get to a stage of tolerance again, they need 3 bottles to get that same feeling, which 1 bottle usually give them before. And there's what we call withdrawal symptoms too at this stage of dependence. When you stop, when you stop, you begin to feel, the individual now begin to feel some strange feelings in their body or mentally. Some, their hands can begin to shake, their body can begin to shake, they might begin to sweat and have different types of feelings. It all depends on the substance or wherever the drug is wearing off, they have such feelings. But the kind of withdrawal symptoms is dependent on the substance use. And the last one is the addictive or the addiction stage, which is usually called the substance use disorder. So at this point, it is now compulsive. It is uncontrollable. You find every miss to use it. The individual finds 7 means to use it. The individual could steal just to go get the substance. The individual could sell his phone just to go get the substance. The individual could sell his clothes just to go get the substance. So the behavioral symptoms here, so I'll be moving at a faster pace. Please just try as much as possible to follow up. So the behavioral symptoms there to watch out for is compulsive use. The person cannot stop using it. He continues to use it. The next one is neglecting responsibilities. The things he ought to do, he or she cannot do it anymore. Increase secrecy or lying. The person now begins to lie and move in secrets or lie about the use of that drugs himself or that substance. Loss of control is another behavioral symptoms. Risky behavior. Under the influence, an individual could drive and do so many other risky things. Unsuccessful attempts to quit. That's another symptom to watch out for. The individual must have even tried to quit, but it's difficult for the individual to quit. So the physical signs and symptoms, changes in appearance. The person wouldn't find hygiene relevant again. So bloodshot in the eyes, where you begin to see red eyes, unusual body odor or tremors. Insomnia, unable to sleep or excessive sleep. The person might begin to experience that. Slurred speech or impaired coordination. You must have seen people now, they begin to talk slowly. So withdrawal symptoms when not using, sweat, nauseous, shaking, and so on, depending on the substance again. And we have the psychological signs and symptoms to watch out for. Cravings. Yes, you have that cravings to always get it. Irritability or mood swings can occur. Depression or anxiety can occur as a result of that. Paranoia, that is, you now begin to suspect people. Hallucination, in severe cases, you may not even begin to see the things that others cannot see, hear the things that others cannot hear. And loss of motivation or interest on what the individual used to enjoy could also occur. So the social sign is isolation from friends and family, relationship, conflicts, legal issues, financial problems, and changing social circles. So how to break free? This is where I'll be stopping. So how to break free? The last aspect. So if you want to break free from addiction, there's one important thing you need to know. Addict, or if you want to help someone break free, addict, just take this, it's coined out from the word addiction. Yes, and this is how it goes. The first one is admit there's a problem. Sometimes it's usually difficult for an individual who is going through substance use disorder or addiction to admit that there's a problem. But to seek help, the individual just have to admit first. That is how to help the individual. So, and the individual next need to depend on trusted adults. Talk to a trusted adult. To be sincere, it's difficult for an individual to come out of it without talking to someone who could help. The next is discover professional help. Seek professional help. So now, this is important because of some withdrawal symptoms that an individual may face. So there are sometimes we do medicated assisted therapy. So this is to give medications when necessary, when the person is facing some withdrawal symptoms and so on. And it is also dangerous to stop suddenly without seeking professional help. Yes, it has its own dangers too. So involve in support group, join a support group, just like the organization hosting this. Join a support group. They could support you. Change your routines. So you may have to begin to go to, places that are more healthy for you. Change your routines, do exercises, and some other useful things. So listen to more positive things. Trust in help. It's okay to ask for help. You are not alone. And positive habits to replace addiction could be sports and exercise, volunteering and helping others, reading and learning, art, dance, music, and joining a faith-based groups. So addiction does not define you. With support and the right tools, you can rise again. Recovery is possible. Your future is still bright. With all these things I've just summarized, to be sincere, it's a lot of things to talk about. If you can, take the first step of reaching out to people, reaching out to people who could help you, you can break free. I've seen people who could break free. And if people have been breaking free, you can also break free. So thank you very much for having me once again.
Okay, this is great. Can we just celebrate? If you know that you've gotten something from this, can you put your hands together in the comment section? Can we just celebrate Mr. Blessing? This has been a profound session. Can we celebrate Mr. Blessing, please? Please, just celebrate him in the comment section. I want to see the accolades. I just want to see it. Please, can you just celebrate him? Thank you so much, Mr. Blessing. Thank you. We are really grateful. I mean, I was just taking a snapshot of things you are saying because I mean they are very important tools. Hope we learned a thing or two. Hope we're not distracted. Hope we paid attention because this you won't get this for free elsewhere. Trust me, you will not get this for free elsewhere. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Blessing. God
You're
bless you.
welcome.
Yeah, so we're going to have a Q&A session after for your questions. We already have questions that we have collated from the form that you filled, the registration form you filled. We're going to ask those questions later on. And now, I want to hear from you. I want to see this in the comment section, right? What was your light bulb moment? So, when I mean light bulb moment, I mean, what is that one thing that you've gotten from Mr. Blessing's session? What did you learn? I want to see. So, I'm in the comment section and I am looking out for your answers. What did you learn in Mr. Blessing's session? What is that one thing that stood out for you? What did you learn? What did you learn? You don't need to unmute your mic. You don't need to unmute your mic. You just put it in the comment section, please. You don't need to unmute your mic. You just type it in the comment section. What is that one thing that you have learned from today's session? One thing you have learned, one thing. How to overcome addictions. Okay. Any other person? You must admit that you need help before you can overcome an addiction. Okay. To overcome addictions, okay, to overcome addiction. Okay, I think the person said here that addictions affect the brain. I need more responses, please. What's one thing that you have learned? I want you to put it in the comment section. And I did not inform you because I wanted this to be special, right? So we're going to be giving out prizes. We have giveaway prizes. We're going to be asking questions towards the end of this webinar, right? And if you answer the questions correctly, you will have a gift. So you have to pay attention, right? Okay, someone said you can break free from an addiction. This is great. So I can also see addiction does not improve anything, it destroys everything. Thank you so much from Demilade and Shemilere. Okay, I'm saying from Staremilekun, with each substance use, tolerance increases, so addiction sets in. I'm saying from Oluwa Tofumi, reach out for help and join a support group. I'm saying by asking for help against peer influence. Okay, I'm saying I learned that you can overcome addiction if you put your mind in it. I am really loving this, right? You know, one of the ways or one of the things that defeat people that are struggling with addictions is when they feel like there is no hope, they cannot overcome it. The moment you have that mindset that you cannot overcome it, then there is a problem. That is the first defeat. But when you believe and you acknowledge that you can actually overcome this thing, you're already making headway. So I'm saying I learned that we must have a trusted adult to talk to and also be prayerful. You can replace addiction with exercising and learning new skills. I love that. Okay, so because of time, we are going to be moving into the next speaker. Just keep on putting, right? Whatever it is you have learned, talk to a good friend. Great. Whatever it is that you have learned, right? Just make sure you put it in. So please don't turn on your mics except you've been asked to put on your mics, and don't turn on your video. Immediately you join the call, your videos will be turned off, your mic will be turned off. Please don't turn it on unless you've been asked to turn it on. Hope that is clear. Yeah, so please mute your mics, don't turn on your mic. We're going to be moving into the next speaker. Are we ready? Let me see it in the comment activities. So the second person that we're going to be having on board, he's a life and productivity coach. He's an enterprise support and implementation specialist. Are you set? So we're going to be bringing on board Mr. Chima Israel, who is going to be talking about understanding the risk of gambling among teenagers. Understanding the risk of gambling among teenagers. He's going to walk us through on what gambling is and all of those things. And your ears should be on ground. Have your journals beside you. I have my journal here. Have your journal beside you, have your Bible, so you can write and take notes because you are going to be transformed. Okay, with a clapping ovation, I want to see you celebrate him in the comment section. Can we celebrate? Mr. Chima, can you hear me?
Yes. I was wondering if the sound I was hearing was also part of the clap. So
I think it's part of the clapping.
I was waiting for the sound to finish.
Oh my God. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
Thank you so much.
I've
I'm
already
very
made
happy
you
to be
co-host.
here. So let me turn on my video so you can put a face to the name. Let me know when you can see my screen, actually.
Yes, we can see you.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. All right. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and vibrant teenagers. All right. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this privilege to impact lives. We pray that you come and be in our midst in this gathering. We pray that you fuel our minds in the direction that
Excuse
you
me.
want it to go. Thank you for the privilege. Thank you for the lives that will be transformed through this. Thank you for the miracles that will happen and the testimonies we are sure to hear from this webinar. In Jesus' name we've prayed. Amen and amen. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right, perfect, perfect. So we'll be kickstarting this session with a very, very simple question. And the question is, who are you? Like, what exactly are you? And I like to answer that question using a very cliche line that you're not what you think you are what you think. You are a sum total of your thoughts. And that summarizes everything I'll be presenting here. Towards the later end of this session, I'll tell us a very important story about my life and gambling, the addiction of gambling. So you might need to sit very, very close and attentive to get that juicy part of this conversation. Now, we start. So who are you? Who exactly are you? It is very important to know that 40% of what you do daily is not a decision you choose. It is a habit you have settled with. And I would like to expatiate that by describing how the brain triggers information or how it interprets information. So let's say you're brushing your teeth. The brain already knows, okay, you'll get your toothbrush, apply the toothpaste, and then you go on to brush. Sometimes even mindlessly. Have you ever wondered why you don't even have to put in extra thoughts into the process of brushing? Maybe you've not taken the time to imagine that. A very key exercise that I would like all of us to do here, okay, maybe not here, but the next time you're brushing, is if you're a right-handed person and you brush with your right hand, try brushing with your left hand. So what you think is awkwardness, because it's obviously going to come off awkward at first, what you think is awkwardness is actually your brain trying to register a new information, an information that it is not used to, or a routine that it is not used to. It is already used to your using of the right hand to brush, and that's why sometimes you even end up brushing, dropping your toothbrush, and not even realizing that an action has happened. That is the same thing that happens with habits. Now, what I just explained now is a habit, and it is an action that has been repeated over time, that the brain has built a routine around it. Now, this is not a bad thing. This is a very, very important aspect of mental processing or mental calculation. So the brain, as it is created to function, is supposed to save you energy. It's supposed to automate processes, gather up like actions and separate unlike ones, and then automate those processes just to save you the stress of actually consuming brain power in computation, decision making, and the rest of that, or what you might want to call thinking. And as we progress on this presentation, you will come to understand why and how the brain does this. So first off, I have an important infographic here that shows all the underlying actions that forms what we choose to see or choose to agree as our daily actions. So we are not exactly what we think we are, and we are not entirely in control of those actions, especially if you are an addict. You are not entirely in control of those actions, especially if you're an addict, because your brain has been wired to function on autopilot, which is governed by habits that you've created over time. All right. There is this important myth where the gamblers use a lot. They say things like life is a gamble. A day without taking risk is a day wasted, or something like that. And then they try to attribute these myths to justify what they are doing. You who is not an addict might argue with them, and you see that they'll vehemently try to prove their point and all of that. There are two reasons for that. First being that they have built this rotation, this repetition, this addiction over time, that it has numbed down the prefrontal part of your brain. That's the part of the brain that actually carries out computational tasks, and the same part of the brain that also influences decision making. So they are now wired more to think from the part of the brain that elicits emotion, or from the part of the brain that sits with, or the emotional bed of the brain, more or less. So there's a cycle of addiction. Addicts do not usually start off as, oh, I just want to do this for a pastime. They actually do it with the very good intention of making money. And that's exactly where it starts. That's gambling addicts, I mean. They actually do it with the intention of trying to make money, accumulate wealth over time. But what they fail to understand is that while for you, it's just a mere action, for your brain to save you on processing time, processing energy, or brain power, it will need to attach a reward to that process. If there is no reward to it, that is why there's a lot of friction when there are no rewards to an action. That's the way the brain functions. So it needs to attach a reward. So at first, your reward is making money. But then over time, from multiple playing, multiple losses, multiple repetition, you realize that it is no longer making money would now be relegated to the background of this same process that you actually innocently started with the idea of making money. Making money will now be relegated to the background because over time you've grown to enjoy the process, enjoy the thrill that comes with waiting 90 minutes for that match to complete, or waiting over an hour or 2 hours for the basketball game to complete, or having to the rush that comes, or dopamine rush that comes when a team you're supporting is leading, and all of a sudden the opposing team just equalizes, and then your mind just flips, your head starts spinning, and then the next thing VAR now overturns the goal, and you're like, wow, what a relief. So all of those heightened emotions contribute to what I call emotional numbing. So your emotions will be high, will be low, will be high, will be low, triggered at different points in time. And over time, you realize that you are no longer as sensitive to pain as you were once were, or you are no longer as sensitive to losses as you were once were. I would usually ask addicts, gambling addicts, how they felt when they lost their first big money. And then they'll tell me, wow, it felt like a shipwreck. And you're like, okay, how much was it? They'll tell you 100 naira. You're like, 100 naira. But the truth is, because they were not as exposed to losses at that initial stage, it felt like life was taken away from them. But over time, you hear that same person tell you, man, Real Sociedad caught my ticket, 2 million naira bet or something, 2 million naira win. It just vanished like that or something like that. And you're wondering, how are you this calm about losing 2,000, 200,000, 1 million to bet? It is all a part of the emotional numbing. And you'll get to understand. So this cycle depicts how gambling addiction works. First, it starts from seeking wealth, and then you reinforce the addiction, and then the seduction of luck. This part of it is where the whole thing is anchored on the hope that luck is on your side, the hope that you are bound to win, the hope that, oh, with this my 100 naira I could win 150 million, the hope that, oh, with this my 50 naira I could win 1 billion. And you forget that the game is actually rigged against you. All you think is actual control on your side is not control. It is just a facade of what they presented to you as a false hope or false representation of control. So I'll just drive straight. Then we have the addict's mirage. I'll speak more to that false control concept that you think you have. So the addict's mirage is the notion that you are actually gambling because you are poor or because you don't have money. That's a very white lie. And I tell people most times, they'll be like, well, this gambling, what I do? I just do it now because the money no day. Once money enter like this, I get investment plans. Now I get plans to buy land for, Eco Hotel side. I get plans to buy land for Ikoyi and all of that. But the truth is, once you are addicted, more money brings more daring punts, more daring bets. So you go above and beyond with more means. So the dependency on this thing hides the consequence. That's why even within the process of that addiction or the gambling, they try to water it down as just a pastime. Oh, I'm just doing this because waiting at one day else they do. As I just come bet shop here, come charge my phone. So from the charging of the phone, I decide, okay, I see this guy will just win 2 million for what's that funny game? For virtual. See this guy will just win 2 million for virtual, and the only thing he just do now 1 to 5, 2 to 8, go or over 1.5. And I just feel say if luck will shine for if he shine for me too. And then you forget that it is part of the lures by the enemy to drag you into that place of false comfort. Now, you forgot also to realize that that same person who just won 2 million in front of you has somehow squandered it almost immediately in the process of gambling as well. So the comfort that you get as an addict from indulging it sort of comes off as peace, especially when you're addicted to porn, to your phone, scrolling through social media, addicted to procrastination, especially. That is one area of addiction that most people don't even realize. When you're addicted to procrastination, there's this sense of calm that you feel when you deflect something that you should attend to immediately. You deflect it to the future. You just feel like it's already done. You get the same sense of fulfillment that someone who has completed that task would get. Do you understand? So the whole notion, or the whole mirage, the whole notion of addiction to gambling is that, oh, I'm not doing anything. You also hear gamblers tell you, oh, I'm not doing anything bad. I'm not hurting anybody. It's just a game of chance. I'm trying to just make ends meet from this process. And it's not like I'm swindling anybody's money. This is just luck. And it's a win-win thing. So it always comes off that way. But the truth is, it is not in that singular action that the consequences lie, or that the consequence lie. It is in the actions that will be built up over time. And it is also in the sub-action, or the things that you don't even know have been triggered just by this process of gambling. And I'll speak a little bit about some of those triggers when I discuss our story towards the end of this seminar. So I wrote down here that perception is deceptive, health cloaks are chaos. And I used these to sort of touch on a very extreme part. So when we are healthy, we sort of have a lot of problems. We have a lot of deadlines to meet. We have a lot of places to be. We have a lot of things to do. Oh, I've not washed my clothes. Oh, I don't have the latest Range Rover. Oh, I'm not using the current smartphone. Oh, I don't do this. Oh, I don't do that. But the moment you fall sick, all of those things you thought were deadlines that will crumble over the other, or things that would go south if you don't do X, Y would die, and all of that, suddenly no longer become priority. So the illusion of gambling. So gambling gives you an illusion that you are actually in control, especially when you log on to those gambling platforms and realize that, oh, these ones have very large odds. Oh, these ones have very large markets. Oh, these ones have more options. Oh, this one is easy to access because it is domiciled within our region. Oh, this one is better with reward. Oh, this one is located outside, but you can gamble with foreign currency, and that means more return on investment. All of those things seem like you actually have a myriad of choices, myriads of choices at your disposal. But what you are forgetting is that those options were created by the owners of the games themselves. Those options were created by the bookmakers themselves. So, fueled by your addiction and the false concept of control, you assume that, oh, you are in charge. You decide which game to play, decide what to pick, because you have various options to pick from. But the truth is, the game is rigged against you. There are only two sides of it. And on the one side, you have the chance, which is to win or to lose. And on the other side, you have the sabotage. Just like a very important example came to my head now, but I don't know if I'm allowed to use it. Sorry, who is displaying on my screen? So just like we had during the primaries election in 2022 or 2023, we had a lot of worthy Nigerians to step into various offices, but we're presented with whatever the elites decided to give to us. And at the end of the day, we walk majestically to the polling unit like, oh, I have the choice to vote whom I want to vote. Now, this is a perfect depiction of how gambling works. It's the perfect illusion that bookmakers use to trick gamblers into assuming that place of power, assuming that place of control from where they are sitting right under the table. Do you understand? Then next is the habit loop. And that's why I said sitting at the center of every of this addiction, every of the gambling, every of the bad habit and the likes is what we call the habit loop. And on the habit loop scale, the first thing is the trigger, which is the cue. The second is the routine, which is the action that you perform. And the last there is the reward. So as simple as this tripartite interaction or tripartite relationship between these three components is, it is the engine room to either suffering fatal, loss due to addiction, or recovering the control, returning control back to your control center of your mind. And understanding this loop is what will even help you break free from any addiction. Now, next is how habits hijack the brain. Now, have you ever wondered how you would draw up, plans of things to buy, shopping lists, things you want to buy when you get to the shopping mall, and then you end up walking in there and realizing, wow, I love that advert of Pepsi. I love that advert of Coca-Cola. I love the sensation that I am getting from the perceived reward that this Pepsi is meant to give me. And that's why even in branding and marketing, they don't sell just the idea to you. They sell the feeling, because they understand how the brain works. You feel even before you think. You feel a thing even before you think, even before you, and that's why when the mind intercepts sensory messages or information, what it does is it creates a picture of that information in your mind. You see in pictures. And when it creates that picture, your memory tries to attach a feeling you had the last time you saw that picture. Now, let me give you an example. When you hear up NEPA, you suddenly don't immediately imagine the NEPA office. You don't immediately imagine NEPA people coming to cut your light on the street. What you imagine is a light bulb that just shines and maybe an AC that cools. It is the feeling you got from that light, from that up NEPA, from the light, from the power being restored, is the first thing that your mind goes to. And that's why it is important to note that you feel before you even think. So, especially for those who are struggling to break free from addiction, it is very important to, from the emotional center of your brain, and restore control to the decision-making part of your brain. So you don't end up, and that's why even people who are addicted to porn will relapse and then feel guilty afterwards. Because at first, that judgment center, that decision center was not even engaged. And because it has not been engaged over time, you've been falling prey to your emotions time and time again. You've been falling prey to how you feel or how you felt the last time you watched that porn, or how you felt the last time you won that game, or how you felt the last time you predicted the right outcome of a bet and made money out of it. Such that, and that's why when you lose, eventually, you begin to wonder, was it that I didn't even think about this? Was it that I did not factor in this, that this player would not play, or that this club is not in form, or that these guys are not ready to put in their 100 because there was nothing at stake? It is usually at the end when the emotion has been, when you've already attended to the emotional needs, that you begin to think about the consequences. You begin to wonder if you didn't actually think this thing through. So I would always tell every addict, you are not weak and you are not immoral. You are just powerless to your emotions. You are just powerless to the habits you have built over time. And breaking from that cycle would start from reclaiming the power that you have relinquished over time. Okay. Now, next up, just as a continuation to the other part, our brains are built to react before it thinks. Another way of putting what I said earlier, that you feel before you actually think. So emotions arrive before logic does. And even in the way the brain is wired, the way the brain is structured, information passes through that circle the same way. So when you receive a signal, maybe any part of your body, you were touched, or you see something, it travels through your neural pathways or your neurons, and then travels to the limbic region, which is responsible for all of the emotion, all of the feeling, and all of that. And when that limbic region returns how you feel, it doesn't really engage for an addict, it doesn't really engage the prefrontal cortex to even decide or to allow it decide, because the brain has already built a pattern out of that cue. The brain already knows that whenever you see this thing, this was how you reacted the last time. So it doesn't even need to get to the prefrontal cortex to decide what you should do, because that cue has already been registered to a pattern. That cue has already been registered to a habit, and there is a reward that has already been attached at the end. Okay, immediately you see Sportybet logo, what comes to mind? What comes to mind is to check my OP to see if there's money in it. Or immediately you see a lady on social media dressing half naked, what comes to mind? What comes to mind is to act on it. Or immediately you think of something you should do now, maybe to wash your clothes, maybe to go hiking, maybe to engage in an exercise. What comes to mind? If what comes to mind is to numb it down and extract the reward from it without performing the right action, then you are addicted. You are a slave to that process. So it is not lack of emotion that affects addicts. It is the automation that the brain has already put in place to shield them from consuming brain power. And that's why I said, even the brain is doing it because it's trying to protect you from stress. But it is the wrong routine. So what you just need to do to break free from an addiction is to rewire your mind. You can leave the cue as it is, rewire the routine, and repurpose the reward. Leave the queue, rewire the routine, repurpose the reward. Because the reason I usually advise on leaving the queue is because the queue will always be there. You cannot control how many times you would see people post bet slips on their status. You cannot control how many times you will see people announce that they want 2 billion naira. But then you can control how you will react to that queue when you see it. If your response initially would be to engage the person to share their winning slip and then maybe pay for it, because people usually pay for what they call short game and stuff like that. People would usually pay. So if your response initially was to engage, let your response now be redirected. So instead of engaging, you can block the person. You can start from there. Or you can still open that OP that you usually open to fund your bet wallet. And instead of funding, save in your autosave. Just make it a very conscious step, or take a very conscious effort to take another step, to make another move that's not in line with what you would usually do. That is the first place to break the cycle. And the reason being that the reward can still remain the same. Since the reward initially was to make money, now that you are saving, you are also accumulating wealth. So you've seen how we are trying to rewire the loop. So that will help you. Now, there's this important movie. There's this movie that I watched recently called Novocaine. In the movie, the main character in the movie had this, I don't know if I should call it a psychological defect, where they don't feel anything. And you will understand why this is very important for you to feel things when I tell you the story towards the later end. Now, when you don't feel, you don't even know that there are danger or that there's danger looming. When you don't feel pain, when you don't fear, when you don't sense danger, when your sensory neurons don't pick signals that are inimical to safety, you will not understand how important it is to be safe. So in that movie, the guy does not feel pain. So the doctor advised that he should not eat food. He should only drink water, because even in chewing, he might end up chewing his tongue without knowing. Now, that is how your senses are numbed when you are addicted. Whether addicted to substance, addicted to porn, addicted to gambling, your senses would be numbed. You would almost respond to any form of discomfort by indulgence. NEPA would take light and you feel this is the best time to just, watch porn, or rain is falling, weather for two. Or you'll see people doing, taking courses, making conscious steps to grow, and you just procrastinate, just to feel good about the fact that you're not even doing it now, but you do it later. So the Novocaine effect is what I call it Novocaine effect, because you are actually numbing down your senses just to feel good in the now. So I'll try to run through the process. Now, you're not born with bad habits. It is very important to know that you're not born with bad habits. Good or bad habit, every habit is built and can be broken. How does habit start? How does the addiction even start? First off, it starts with just mere curiosity. You just saw someone update that they won XYZ amount, and you're like, I know this sport so well, I think I can do the same. Secondly, that desire or the curiosity grows into keen thoughts. And like I said from the onset, we are a sum total of what we think. What you think is what you have become. So that thought triggers an action, maybe you staking your first 100 naira, and that action repeated over time is what forms the routine that you're now battling to break out from. And then your brain seeing that, oh, you take this route very often. So why don't we just lock down this process as a routine and stack it somewhere, so that we don't have to engage brain power whenever you want to do these things, because it's a repeated action. So nobody is born with the addictions that they are currently battling with. But because they have repeated and reinforced that action, it has become a routine that they are now struggling to break out from. So I'll just run through all of this to the part where old habits die easier than you think, because I've got a signal. So old habits die easier than you think. So if you're struggling with addiction and you feel powerless, it is very important to note that it is not something you will break from by force. It is something you need to engage strategic plan, strategic way of thinking for. And the first thing I would advise is pick up new habits. The more new habits you pick up, the more new actions you pick up, the better reinforced your part of the brain that processes information, calculates and takes care of decision, will be in deciding how you respond when the next cue comes up. You can take up a new course, learn a new language, build new neural pathways. It's called neural pathways. Build new neural pathways, strengthen the cord for existing ones, and then rewire those cues. So if the cue, like I said earlier, was initially whenever you see bets, you are triggered to stake. Rewire it such that whenever you see bets, you're triggered to invest or to save. So that way, you'll be able to break free from the loop. So when you rewire the loop, you are no longer a slave to the cue. the cue is now determined by the action that you take. So irrespective of whatever the cue is, however it comes, whenever it comes, whether it's raining or it's weather for two, you are now able to determine what action you should carry out when that cue is registered. So the cue, routine, reward loop is already wired. Like I said, your job is to break out from that circuit by replacing the reward. So the keystone habits is discipline. Discipline on all sides, all round discipline. Wake up on time, do the right thing at the right time, journal, breathe, practice deep breathing, and pray in the present. Pray with your mind present. Don't pray half-heartedly. Pray with your mind present. It's a very important trick that I use myself. So when I pray, I picture myself in the presence of God. Do a lot of mental exercise. Teasers, brain teasers, and learn new skills. Brush with your left hand, change routines, take new routes to places that you are familiar with. These are some of the ways that the brain builds muscle. Let me call them muscle so you'll understand. Build muscle to be able to withstand the urge to fall prey to those addictions. So once you build your discipline, have a routine, morning routine, whether to journal in the morning when you wake up or journal at night before you sleep, have a predefined routine, have a structured way of doing things. Do things at the right time, the first time. Don't be lousy. So once you build your core, which is the discipline part, you would be able to withstand those urges. And most importantly, don't try to form Galadima for your urges. It is in fact, it is a recipe to catastrophe. When you think, oh, I can withstand it, and when I see it now, I will not do anything. The truth is, you're not in control yet until you've been able to strengthen your mind. If your mind is not strengthened by some of these ways I've listed, learning new things and doing things anew, you will still be a slave to those urges. So until then, flee from the urges, flee from the cue, and retain sanity. So lastly, the brain isn't fixed, it's rewired through repetition. You're not your addiction, you are the observer behind it. The separation is the bet of your control. So once you're able to separate yourself from the addiction, that is where your control starts. And that is why I said you need to flee from the cues. All script demand obedience. So when you see this thing, you're supposed to just follow the script and run in the way that you've been running. But you are not the code, you are the coder. And you can rewrite that code. Learn that and take charge. You are the system, upgrade it. Pain teaches, purpose replaces, but community is what sustains you. So it is very important that even in the drive to escape this loop of addiction, find a community that helps. And that is where this group, this NGO comes in. Find a community like this and open up to them. Allow them search, allow them be vulnerable, allow them search deeply within to find those specs, to find those cons, to find those pros to strengthen and to remove. Habits are the operating system of your life. Don't let it run rogue. Habits are a good thing. It's a way that the brain has helped us function optimally. But the bad habits are the ones you need to rewire. So make sure to take charge of your emotion. Your brain reacts, but you respond. The gap in between that reaction and response is where you need to now decide. Allow the part of your brain that takes decision, handle that, and not the part that is fueled by emotion. And then lastly, track your emotions. Take stock of how you feel. Some of us, especially this Gen Z, don't even know the difference between being happy, being excited, being elated, being surprised, being shocked. And we just tag everything into one umbrella and call it vibe. It is not vibe. Or someone just tells you, because of the curiosity part, which is what triggers the addiction, you would want to find out what fun means. When someone who is addicted to smoking tells you, wow, I smoked this thing and I was in cloud 9. And you tell them, how do you feel? And they'll be like, wow, it felt so good. Try to find out what feeling good means. Understand what feeling good means by your own definition and not by the definition of any other person. Track how you feel, what each of those feelings means. You can even take notes of them. When I did X, I felt Y. What does Y mean? I felt sad, I felt happy, I felt unhappy, I felt shocked, I felt surprised. Track those things and you would be able to attach a feeling to an action, irrespective of what your brain might have attached to it. And that way you will be able to rewire how you want to feel for that action. I don't know, I'll try, I don't know how I can expatiate on that, but I feel like there's still some depth that I need to touch there. So, and also define your roadmap. When do you want to break out of this? Now? Yes. What do you need to do now? Flee. Okay, after fleeing, how soon do you need to seek for help? How soon do you need to leave your present location, which is what triggers it? How soon do you need to cut off all of your triggers? Delete Twitter, delete Instagram, delete TikTok, or just set your phone or use a different phone that does not even have access to social media. All of these are steps that you need to take, but first you need to define a clear roadmap to breaking free from that addiction. And with this, I have come to the end of this presentation. I would like to take any questions. Apology if I overshot our time. God
Okay.
bless you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chima. I am not seeing our responses in the comment box. If you know, and you are sure that you have learned something, you are very, very, very sure that you have gotten something today. Can we just celebrate him in the comment box? Can we just celebrate him? Thank you so much, Mr. Chima. I mean, our plates are full, right? I mean, starting off with Mr. Blessing and coming to this point, our plates are full, no doubt. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So let me see in the comment box. We are running behind time. We hope to close this before 2 o'clock, right? So let's see how we go. I mean, how has it been for you? What was your light bulb moment? Let me see it in the comment section. I'm with my phone here and I'm checking the chat. Let me see. I mean, I want to know that the time that we spent preparing this webinar and all of these, the time that our speakers they spent in preparing their slides and preparing for you, I want to know it's not a waste. So let me see in the comment section, what did you learn? What were your light bulb moments? Someone say, I learned that good or bad. I learned that good or bad, every habit is built and can be broken, and old habits die easier than you think. And also discipline, mental exercise, and new routes can change bad old habits and help in decision making. Thank you so much, Ebube. That is profound. Well done. What else again can I say in the comment section? What are your light bulb moments? What have you learned? The essence of this webinar, right, was to just create an awareness on this pandemic that is slowly going into the life of these teenagers, that is slowly streaming into their lives, gambling and addictions, and to just help them understand better and to break free from such. And one thing I believe, knowledge is power, and that power is not just to ride over people. That power is actually to break free from things that could hold you back, to break free from limitations and all of those. And the knowledge you have gotten today can help you break free from whatever addiction. You've learned a lot. I mean, you've learned how to break out from these things. And if you need further help, right, you can reach out. You have our email address. I'll be putting all of those that's towards the end. Someone said, no one is born with an addiction. That is great. Somebody said, I learned that our brain is built to react before it thinks. Someone said, I learned that we need to identify our cues and then change the action that follow them. Great. So this is one way you can actually break free from addiction. I learned that you track your emotions and take stock of how you feel. Don't just act like that and just live your life. Every day you can journal before the day ends. Reflect on your day. How did my day go? I mean, what were the emotions that I felt today? Was I angry all through today? Was I happy all through today? Was I surprised? What did I feel guilty? How did I feel today? Then you now begin to look deeper. Okay, if I felt angry throughout today, why was I angry? Right? Take stock of your emotions. Don't just live life like that at all. It helps you track things that are going wrong and you're able to identify them on time and deal with them on time. Thank you so much, Mr. Blessing. Thank you so much, Mr. Chima. We cannot pay you enough for the knowledge that you have actually shared with us. So there's a story I want to read sharply, right? And I believe it will help us. Someone shared this story with me concerning breaking free from gambling and addiction. I'll be sharing my screen with the other accounts I'm logged into here. I'm going to be sharing my screen and I want you all to you can read through with it and just follow as I am reading. Okay, so I'm going to let me select it rightly. So I just want you to read through this story, right? I'm going to be reading through, and you can also read through too. It's a very, very, very impactful story, one that I know you would great and benefit. It's a real life story, like I said. I had this friend named X who owns a business center at Ikota Shopping Complex. As at then, I was using his space as my office, so I go there literally every day. This person had a staff named Y, who was the one that introduced us both to virtual betting. And the funny thing is that this Y, Mr. Y, was way younger than both of us, but he still influenced us. Let me state this. I'm the kind of person that have never believed in anything gambling, money doubling scheme. I've never in my life tried it. So me and his oga don't play betting, but his staff does plays it consistently. I remember that he will go to this Bet Niger shop inside the same Ikota shopping complex, Aja. Then the next thing he'll be back with Don Simon drink and other snacks that he bought. He will say he won. This kept happening literally every day. He comes back. I was like, it seems this thing is that easy and profitable. Hence, this guy wins every day that he got there. That was the first call, in brackets, temptation. A temptation I fell for, but wish I didn't. So one day I said to myself, let me even go. Let me follow him and try. So I went with him. He was playing virtual game, which is called Baby Teju in the street. My first take was very low because I was trying to understand the game first. I think I won my first game and lost some few ones though, but I made profit on the first day. By then, I have understood the different staking options and the ones I felt was more safer to stake high on. So I started staking very high, like the normal short two odds you hear of. During this period, I was staying with one of my uncle at Songotedo. His account was closed then due to his issues with BVN. as his own bank account was giving him issues. As his own bank account was giving him issues, so most of his money, like business money, his business money was in my account. Also, his wife's brother. So I'm moving to the next page. His wife's brother's money was also in his account. I have to bring him to this picture because along the line I will explain better. His wife's brother wanted to travel abroad. He was based in Abuja. He sold out his business, everything. Then he came to stay with us in Lagos. Because he was processing his visa here in Lagos, he had issues with his account too. So he kept the money in my account. Hence, I'm the one that goes out every day. So it was even easy for them. If any of them need cash, they would just call me to help them withdraw while coming back. Likewise, transfer. So the trust was there actually. Like this entire people put into my account because they trusted me even with their life savings. So if you got what I read here, you will see that that the uncle and the uncle's wife brother, they sent their life savings into this guy's account because the account was having issues, so they put the money in this guy's account. So let me get back to the story. So the first few days, or let me say weeks, I was still taking low amounts. I was caught between winning and losing. It got to a point that I felt the whole low amount taking thing was too slow and not giving me the desired financial result I wanted. I told myself I can't continue like this because I don't have that luxury of time to spend the whole day in a gambling shop. Then the idea of staking high amounts, too sure odds, started creeping into my head. I started staking high amounts because I thought that I now understand the game. Like I felt I have figured out how to win. That was the first mistake. So I started staking high. Let's assume I had 100K as my savings then. My goal was to double the money. I tried it and I lost my whole savings. That loss was what brought the idea of me trying to use my uncle's money to recover some of my savings, which was the first major mistake I made. Moving on to the next slide. This is the third and there's the last one. Based on my experience, I would say gambling addiction is actually more of a psychological than spiritual problem. In essence, what I'm trying to say is that if you are praying for spiritual intervention to help someone overcome the spirit of gambling, you need to make the person see reasons why he needs to quit. That way, his heart will be opened to allow the Holy Spirit get into him and help him. That's why I said it's more of a psychological issue. The psychological aspect gives room for true repentance. I believe that if you continue praying for someone that hasn't made that decision to quit yet, it's just like you're wasting your time. I'm using my own betting experience to say this because there was a time when my uncle's wife took me to church for prayer group and the church reverend to pray for me. While the prayer was going on, my mind was fixed on the betting shop where I normally bet. I was waiting for them to finish the prayer session so I can go there and I feel the reason was because I haven't made that decision to stop then. There was still pressure from people I was owing, and I was hoping that I'll be lucky to win that day. I desperately needed to recover back the money I have lost to same betting. That was the only thing my brain was telling me somewhere within me. That was the only thing my brain was telling me. Somewhere within me, I really wanted to quit. But once money enters my hand, the first thing that comes to my brain is that today may be my lucky day, that I should go and bet with the money. Because then I haven't understood or told myself the truth that money lost to gambling is gone and can't be recovered back through same gambling. The hope of recovering your money or getting rich through gambling is the main trap these gambling companies use in trapping down their customers to milk them dry. Your mind will be telling you that, okay, for me to have lost it, it means maybe I'm not just lucky and that my next attempt will be my lucky chance. Now, this is the last slide. The owners of betting companies know this. That is why whenever a customer wins a huge amount of money, they will publicize it to use it to lure new people into the game and to give hope to the old customers who have lost a fortune and are at the verge of giving up on betting. The news of someone winning big amounts of money is what has kept many people into the game because they are foolishly hoping that tomorrow will be their own lucky day. Now, I want you to pay attention to this that was bolded. If you win, you want to come back and win more, of which you will end up losing all. If you lose, you will want to stay or come back another time and recover the money you lost. Betting/gambling is just an endless road. Don't ply that route. It's just like running in a circle. The only person that benefits from betting is the betting company, and they do this at the detriment of your finance, mental, and psychological state. So I thought to share this with us, right? This was a real life story of somebody that was struggling with betting and betting and gambling addiction, and by the grace of God, he was able to overcome, right? And there's something he said which was striking, which is it's not just about praying for the person. There's a psychological part to it. You have to acknowledge first that you are addicted and reach out to a professional for help. Why you also back it with prayers, right? Because trusting God to want to deliver you from that spirit of gambling. Because the truth is, life is spiritual, dear people, right? And for every challenge that we experience, there's always a spiritual part to it. Life is spiritual, so don't do away with that, right? But there's also a psychological part where you need to receive help, go out and reach out for help and all. So based on this that I shared, right, what are the things that you learned? So let me hear from you. What are the things that you have learned based on this story that has been shared? This is a real life story, and we told some of it in the schools that we visited this week and the previous week for our school outreaches. What are the things that you have learned? Somebody is crying. Somebody said, "Ah, I'm just saying tears." Okay. Somebody said, I learned that gambling is not good and it can't disturb an individual who is not really ready to move away from it. And there was something Mr. Blessing and Mr. Chima said, right? That one thing about addiction, because the problem with gambling is that it can be addictive. And when you get addicted, it brings us back to addictions. One thing about addiction is somewhere within you, you would want to stop. But on your own, trust me, you won't be able to stop again, especially when you're addicted, because your brain has been rewired to do that thing. This is where you have to now speak out and reach out for help, right? Somebody said, discipline yourself away from gambling. Okay, I can see here you can't self correct. Thank you so much, sir. Someone said, I learned that gambling is an endless road to addiction. Thank you for sharing that. So there are some questions that came up, and I think what would happen is maybe we might on our IG page, right, in order to manage time, on our Instagram page, we are going to be putting out those questions that you had, right, and we're going to be putting an answer for them for us to save time, because it's almost 2 o'clock and I promise that we're going to close by 2, right? But I'm sure that in course of our speakers, in course of them speaking, they were able to address some of the questions that we spoke about. All so this webinar, this event will be replayed on our YouTube. So I want you to follow us. You can follow us on So Haven. The link will be shared on the chat box. So Haven also. So I'm just going to be running you all with few announcements here. You can join. So we have a mentorship academy for young people, for teenagers, right, where you are mentored all round, right? So both spiritual, character-wise, mentally, career, finances, academics, all round, right? There's a mentorship academy, and the feedback form will be shared. So if you're willing to join, while filling the feedback form, you can indicate that you want to join the mentorship account. Maybe what will happen is we'll have a special Q&A session. I'm going to run you through on how that will go. It might hold on Instagram or probably on Zoom, but I'll fill you on that information. A special Q&A session that addresses the questions that you have asked, that you asked on the form. We're going to address them. We'll have our speakers online where we just address these questions and provide answers to them, so you can go back and watch it again. Yes, so follow our social media handles on Facebook, on Instagram. We are Complete Teenagers Empowerment Foundation. Complete Teenagers Empowerment Foundation. Or on Instagram, you can check the underscore COTEF, COTEF. The underscore COTEF, COTEF. I'm going to be sharing the feedback link here so that you can please do well to fill the feedback form. That's where we'll get your information to give you to pass more information to you as regards the Q&A session that will be coming up. Trust me, you don't want to miss, do you? So that will be bringing us to the end of this webinar. Once again, in the comment section, please, can you just celebrate our speakers for teaching us, for enlightening us, for passing and pouring down knowledge on us. We are really grateful. Thank you for taking out time, right, to just enlighten us and give us the right knowledge. Much. Thank you, Mr. Chima. Thank you, Mr. Blessing. God bless you so much. So follow us on YouTube at So Haven. The replay of this webinar will be uploaded there. You can go back, and I want to encourage you, please don't just ditch this. Go back and watch again, right? That's why we recorded this webinar. Go back, watch again, and just take notes and just jot whatever it is that is meaningful to you. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this webinar. From me and our guest speakers to all of you that attended, thank you so much. Thank you for making yourself present. Thank you for choosing to be a change maker. Thank you for choosing to receive the knowledge that would make you be a blessing to your community. Remember that the things that you have learned here, right, you're going to take it out and you're going to influence your friends positively. When you come across people that are doing certain things that are not right and they need your help, you're able to talk to them about it. You're able to enlighten your friends, your family, your siblings on the dangers of addiction. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you and have a beautiful afternoon. Bye.